Unstoppable is your middle name. What future holds for DMCC?
I really want to grow our shipping and oil and gas industry. The biggest risk is not taking one.
Yeah. What's with this bitterness and soreness in international media about the way
We don't tolerate criminals. We don't have very extreme leftist mentality. Old woke social media platforms, Twitter is over.
tone of KP share would be the same or they have a new agenda?
Africa would be in a much dire situation if the Kimberley Process didn't exist. Prime Minister of the United Arab Emirates, ruler of Dubai, he said within the next few years, 50% or so of gold will come through Dubai. I have coffee conversations every day with different players in the world.
Welcome to an exciting podcast session on the Jewellery Pod. I'm your host Krishna, and today I'm in DMCC AI Center. DMCC has been most progressive and transformative free zones of UAE that has pivoted in more than ways you can ever imagine. And today, I'm honored to be joined by Mr. Ahmed Bin Sulayem, who is Executive Chairman and CEO of DMCC. Welcome, sir, on Jewellery Pod. It's my honor to have you here.
I'm an avid follower.
So, sir, without taking much time of yours, can we have some flashback of your early days? I know I have been in the industry for like 10 years. I've been watching you, and it's like what it was in 2013 and what it is today. I can't even compare.
Sure.
So, can you just walk us through a bit, and we can.
2013 was the first time DMCC competed for the best free zone of the year. It came second. And its reaction to that was winning it 9 times in a row. But we've grown phenomenally big since then. It's a different, as you said, you can't recognize what DMCC is today. I personally joined this initiative back in 2001. It was just a concept. And it was, to my luck, it was rejected a few times the years before that. And this was the time where Dubai felt it's worth to explore it. The idea was very simple and still is the case today. Is to enable trade, attract trade to the city of Dubai, and provide the necessary market infrastructure, physical infrastructure, and engage with the market industry on these related commodities. The main focus was gold and precious metals, and during the unveiling of DMCC in April of 2002, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid, the Vice President and Prime Minister of the United Arab Emirates, ruler of Dubai, made a brave announcement. He said within the next few years, about a good 50% or so of gold will come through Dubai. Now, I'm not sure about how much gold comes via Dubai, but it is one of the conduits for the gold industry coming from China or going to China, the Asian, South Asian market, India, and it's been one of the best redistribution hubs for the African producers. As is the case with the diamond industry, where it's a key market where today we have tenders and auctions of polished diamonds and rough diamonds. For the most part, the buyers find the best price they get, and funnily also the sellers get the best value out of Dubai. But it didn't start off as you remember it in 2013, and in 2013 is not, as you said, not what it looks like today, but 2001 to 3 were tough years. There was no real benchmark for us to benchmark DMCC. You can take parts and facets of DMCC and then maybe make a comparison. Yeah. So we had to engage with key markets. When we started, I think in 2013, we were barely 20 plus companies. When we moved into the Almaas Tower, which was in 2008, end of 2008, I believe, we were barely 1,200 companies or 1,300 companies. But from the global recession, we had our best years because we looked at the advantages and opportunities within the global recession, which sounds crazy, but one part that was attractive to businesses was, to me at least, explaining to them was seeing that the prices are down. That means they can have their senior management live and close to the work areas. And that resonated with some. And a snowball effect, a good momentum kicked in from there. From the global recession years, we attracted, on average, 2,000 companies every year. So that was a big boost. We repeated the same thing, kind of a similar approach when the global pandemic became a true issue. So just to give you an idea, from 2020 to end of 2023, DMCC brought in over 10,000 new companies.
That's amazing.
That's it's not something I expected. All I wanted from my organization was to give it their best, not to give up. And if you followed the news, you'd be lost. Nothing was correct. I mean, even some of the vaccine companies got fined. They're not as dependable. And I knew that a lot of the key business hubs within the GCC and around the world will have a stage where they slow down, pause, reassess themselves. And I saw an opportunity, and that I knew that there will be markets that are expecting to shift for whatever reasons. Some moved out of the UK, some moved out of Belgium. There are businesses moving in there, depends. But I knew that if Dubai doesn't shut down and keeps the business with the responsible social distancing, applying COVID rules, we have a good opportunity here. And luckily, DMCC within a year or so before the global pandemic was accepting online registration, including e-signature. So there was not much disruption. I mean, you would have expected April and May would be zero registration. Not really. We did register companies on those, and then the momentum kicked in. I believe for the UK, they were looking for areas, just in general. It could have been Bahamas, it could have been, I'm thinking what else was open for business. But it could have been anywhere. But they kept hearing DMCC. And today, there's about 5,000 UK businesses in the UAE. More than 40% are based in the DMCC today.
That's amazing. I completely resonate with your speed and how the velocity you're moving is actually very much tangible across. Uptown is an amazing structure. Almaas, if I'm not wrong, was sold within few hours.
7 to 8 hours to end users. We borrowed. We used the Oracle system that Nakheel had, tailor-made it to our needs. To some in Nakheel, they wanted to do the sales themselves. I think the mistake people made about DMCC in general, including my own family members, is that this is a gimmick. It's just property and you're just calling that. But I personally did not like the big lines for properties in general, but that's their prerogative in Dubai. I wanted it different for Almaas Tower. I wanted to allow, we decided to allow only 3 days for registered companies, 3 days for potential DMCC companies. So if they can set up and then buy the units, and then 3 days to the public if we only sold 10-20%. We had no idea. Mind you, the building is 63 floors of usable office space. And initially in the plans, it was 20 floors hotel, 20 floors offices. Long story short, I canceled the hotel. I had a back and forth argument with my management in end of 2002 or sometime in 2003. I didn't like the hotel being on top. It was just a humble request to have it at the bottom. And the management wanted it on top. And when I look back, I get it. It never happened in Dubai. So maybe they wanted something to succeed.
True.
They didn't know. And I think the concept, the view at the time was nothing will leave the Gold Souk. That will always be the hub. Fine, but I had to give it my best. So I came back to them. I just wanted the hotel on the bottom and the offices on top to free up the space. It was just that request. But when I realized they won't budge, I came back. I said, look, if the hotel is there, I'm disassociating myself from the project. I was shocked. They're my seniors. I'm only the operating officer at the time. And they said, no, we'll go your way. So it's 20 floors office space. I said, no, I think 40, I might push it to 50 plus. Engaging with the technical chair of Nakheel. I still engaged with Nakheel. Our property, we had a sales team, but we didn't have we used their procurement. We used them where we needed. But the technical chair of Nakheel was Munir Haidar. He's in Abu Dhabi today. And I would call him. I'm like, the demand is good. Let's increase the floor. We started increasing. And it got to the stage where, you have to understand, it wasn't the height that Almaas Tower was going. You need to also, if it's a tree, it expands, but its roots also expands. So the basement was expanding. We had basement 3, we went to 4. And then at one stage, I couldn't continue with double oval. So it's like, we can go with one oval. We continued with one oval. We reached 63. And I wanted to go a bit higher. I felt it will, as we got higher, I felt there's demand for that top floor, which is true actually. And he came back, he said, if you go above 63, we have to go to basement 6. I'm like, so what's the problem? Well, Ahmad, basement 6 will cost you 5, 4, and 3 put together. I slept on it for 2-3 days, and then I called them back. Yeah, let's stop at 63. It wasn't an easy task. The banks, the market was more used to bank guarantees, individual ownership. There was no escrow system yet, and the freehold law was new for the office space. I can honestly tell you at that time, there was no competent bank that can provide finance for owning an office unit.
And
so this project almost failed because of that.
Oh my God.
The other thing I took a risk on, we took a kind of a risk, but we didn't have financing. We raised $200 million of gold bonds, Sharia compliant, as a product of ours. And it was put together by Standard Bank London, Dubai Islamic Bank, and Istithmar. It had an A rating by S&P, A stable, A minus short term, A plus long term. We paid those debts on time as we moved into the Almaas Tower. It went to the market and it was sold to end users between 7 and 8 hours. There were things happening in other diamond hubs where people saw this building as a sign.
Yeah.
Now you have to understand the diamanteers are very superstitious. They see messages as much as it is. And when they sell you a diamond, they don't like this word, but they're selling you an illusion. Yeah? Even the glitter, the shine you see, it's not real shine. It's because of your
cuts,
limitation in your mind. You can't see it, so that's what your mind tells you. But that's the beauty of it. The rest was history. The next day we sold the gold tower, and we changed the policy. Our policy used to be for the rest of the development, not allowed to sell to DMCC core activities. Non-core, fine. I told my team, it's not likely we'll build buildings in time to register because the demand is crazy.
True.
So we opened it up for them. And that was one of the best decisions we did.
And can I know what all fueled this vision? Because while you speak, I could literally see your vision and His Highness Ruler of Dubai vision kind of resonates a lot.
Basically, it's the simple concept of what would His Highness do in this position. What is His Highness risk averse? Not really. Calculated risks, fine. And if you can go back to his quotes, one of his famous quotes is the biggest risk is not taking one.
Yeah.
This building itself, bothered some people when we announced it in, not the super tall one, 2013, but even this before the global pandemic, I guess 2016 or 17. They mistake the development of DMCC as a normal development. It's not. We register companies, and today we've pretty much proven our case with this building. It won awards. The office space have been leased out, 22 floors with 3 times the waiting list. We're building a G plus 22 next to it. Office space as well, G plus 17, and we know we'll fill it up. What we were worried about was the branded resi. It's not really our background. A lot of competition is in Dubai, and a lot of them have balconies. We don't. But I'm happy to say, out of the 188 units, I believe, I'm not sure, we need to confirm those numbers, but 28 floors, we have less than 47 units left.
Amazing.
And even if we struggled with it, I would have been fine, because the extra space I was going to utilize as serviced apartments supporting the hotel. So it wasn't going to go to waste. But we're not there. We're in a different position right now.
And Mr. Sulaim, tell me this thing that you're meeting several diplomats day in, day out. Dubai is shining bright, no doubt about it. But what's with this bitterness and soreness in international media about this place? Because what I personally feel, living here for so long, that people are really can't see Dubai shining, honestly.
You know what it is?
UAE for that matter.
No city is perfect. I mean, New York has its problems, but all the multinationals would love to be in New York.
Yeah.
Despite the security issues today and the COVID issues before. But Dubai is going to be its own New York, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Now, what some of the, whether it's jealousy, whether they want to set headlines, they forget that everything they've described, you can remove the name Dubai and apply it to London, apply it to other places. They all have challenges. But it's a different city. It's much safer here. We don't tolerate criminals. We don't have a very, very extreme leftist mentality where we allow criminals out of jail and that, like, there is a limit. And these are the discussions with all the elections. They want better borders. They don't want their tax to pay for more illegal immigrants. We don't entertain that. We help, we contribute, but we don't sacrifice the country we have. And that's been one of the foundation of what made the UAE it is today. You have to see some parallels between us and Singapore. Some of the laws are too strict, but in the end, they secure the future of their generations. I mean, I don't know why people would send their kids for colleges in other places where they're at risk at losing their life in a party or something. I'd rather send kids to Singapore and these places, just more secure. So it's much more deeper than that. I think it's more humane. People might argue otherwise, but I'd rather be in a more secure place. You see celebrities enjoying themselves in Dubai because we don't entertain harassing paparazzis. We don't entertain it. We don't need it. But I don't think the attacks from some of the mainstream media would work anymore. People see with their own eyes. They visit. They check other social media platforms. I mean, if they want to hear about Chris Rock, they're not going to ask 3 media agents. They just go to his tweet. He's open. He's a comedian. He's unfiltered. So I think their time is over because the generation they used to talk to has aged. Even the old woke social media platforms. Twitter is over. Elon Musk has made sure of that, changed the name. But even social media platforms, I believe in 5 to 10 years, you're going to have decentralized social media platforms. And that will be more mainstream. They're not ready for it today, but the new generation that have grown up getting paid with crypto and Bitcoin and gamers and all that, gamification will be a part of it. So it's different. I know a lot of friends of mine who, when they want to look into a matter, they're not reading The Guardian or Financial Times. They go to Reddit. They would engage on Twitter with people like Javier Blas, who co-wrote the book The World for Sale, which is a funny book. It's real, but what's ironic about it, it talks about the Cold War. And they make a point that the trade between US businesses before the Cold War was much less after the Cold War started. Opportunities popped up. Now, I'm very curious at what Javier and others would be writing about this reality, but that's not my issue. I have an easier job. I don't need to engage in politics. I just focus on business, and we take it from there. Today, we represent over 25,000 companies. Almost 90% of them are new to the UAE. We've retained more than 85% of those businesses. We're known mainly for gold, precious metals, diamonds, and color stones, and each of those are about 1,400 companies. But our number one sector, I don't know if it's known to people, is the oil and gas and renewable energy sector, with about 3,300 companies today, and I see it growing.
And do you have to say something about these upcoming centers that are super futuristic, AI and gaming center?
So
I believe that's
it
a really
goes back to an old discussion I had with PricewaterhouseCoopers in 2015 or beginning of 2016. We brought them in almost as a formality. We were already going to tie up with Olam to bring in a sesame facility, and that would have put us in the top 3 or 4 out of 50 or 28, whatever it was. We were never going to touch the top 3, I guess, or 2, because that's China and India. But as a redistributing hub, we had a big chance. Now, I'm not sure what happened, whether Olam negotiated with Malaysia and used us as a stalking horse or not. I'm still in good relationship with them. There's so much other areas I can work with them. But it was a blessing, because I met with PricewaterhouseCoopers, and they had a way of calculating or looking into what the opportunities are. They had an algorithm linked to the customs HS code to see what they divert. And their top was meat, kosher and halal meat. And then they had coffee in like 15 or 18. They had, I don't know if they touched on sesame, black pepper, powdered milk, saffron, palm oil, which I told them I will not touch. I don't care about the money. I have enough. You talked about mainstream media. I didn't want to add that. It's bad for the environment, bad for your health. And I've seen some of the videos in general that shows you a half-burnt orangutan. So I don't want to contribute to that. I'm affected already. But I said, I don't want to wait for your 2nd, 3rd, and 5th phase to screen the top 3. Let's save that time. Save the resources. Let's replicate the success we had with the tea center and the tea hub here in Dubai for coffee. They did not like that. They said, Ahmad, we prefer you use us. In case it goes wrong, you can blame us. I said, no, I'm fine to take the blame. Let's go ahead with coffee. They still pushed back. They said, why coffee? Convince us. And, all of a sudden, it felt like they're the client and I'm the consultant. And I said, well, with all due respect to your algorithm, it's only an indicator to me. It's not real. If we applied you in 99 or 2000, you'd never say touch diamonds.
True.
You would have said, we don't have a diamond mine, we don't have a good manufacturing, cutting facilities like India and China. You would have said, we're not a member of the World Federation of Diamond Bourses. We don't, it's a fully, those days, De Beers was big. You know, you won't have the blessing of De Beers. People talked like that. It's no longer a reality today. And I don't know if it was even then, back then. And I said, you know, here we are. I'm talking to you from Almaas Tower, the world's tallest diamond tower. This is early 2016 or end of 2015. And we're about to take over Belgium as the #1 hub. I said that then.
That happened eventually,
and that happened
right?
a few years ago. We're #1 in rough. And for the past 3 years or so, we're also rough and polished. We're having record numbers. And, you know, I don't think no one can replicate us or have a competing hub. Belgium can do it. All they have to do is copy-paste what we do, match us, or even exceed us. In fact, I want that.
Yeah.
Because it will bring in the best in us, and as an industry we all win. I prefer that personally. There are other reasons I can't say, but if I don't want to be the only hub. I want to provide more services for the market and not have our community taking it for granted as if they have nowhere to live. I always want that fear of losing our market to another competing hub. It brings the best in us.
True.
You know, you don't want to watch basketball
spirit.
when it's only 2 teams. You want more competitions. You want different strategies. I'm a big fan of seeing new ideas being implemented and turned into reality. So there was that point. The second point, I told them, Dubai has been the leading re-exporter of tea, between 30 and 50+% of re-exports. If you watch the recent BBC documentary focused on tea hubs around the world, they say Dubai is the largest tea hub in the world, and that's the UK. Knowing that 80%, this is what I told them, my reasoning, 80% of countries that produce teas also produce coffee. I can't ignore this. I already know there's a logistic advantage. And I'll have to meet the coffee boards. I didn't know much about the Specialty Coffee Association. I don't think the Specialty Coffee Association was established then, which I'll get back to in a minute. So how hard will it be for us to talk to the tea board to introduce us to the coffee board? And some of them are tea and coffee boards anyways. Today, there is a Specialty Coffee Association, which is, I believe, a partnership between the American Coffee Association and the European Coffee Institute, I believe. I don't have the full details on it. And they're doing a great job. The third reason, and I was just joking with them, I said, I'm doing this purely for selfish reasons. Because for the first time, I'm introducing a commodity my community really cares about, especially in the Arab world. Every house has 1 or 2 coffee experts. You see them everywhere. They say, drink coffee at this time, this coffee is better, use this one. They all talk. Or 1 or 2 people who think they're coffee experts.
You're also passionate about coffee. I'm yet to have a coffee.
This is thanks to the COVID pandemic. The lockdowns went too long. I started practicing with the grinder and experimenting.
What are your preferences, if I may know?
It's hard. I think it's seasonal. I end up missing Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee, so I go for that. A lot of it are Ethiopian coffees. I would suspect because a lot of the farmers in Ethiopia keep sending me their top coffees, whether they're green coffees or they're roasted in Addis Ababa. I've been very impressed with the Hawaiian Kona coffee, and I've seen them growing Hawaiian Geisha coffee. I can't. They all have, they're all competing. So it used to be mostly, and still is, I think, Panama Geisha, Lamastas coffee, which is one of the most expensive coffees in the world. They created another brand that's called Elida by Lamastas, and it made it to the TV show Billions as well. Awesome. I've tried it. It's not your normal. It's not a name change. It is different. You have different aftertaste experiences. I think it's multifaceted, the experience, if that makes sense. It's not your usual coffee. Kona coffee from Rwanda is great, and I believe that will continue to develop. I do see a good future with Congolese coffee, and I'm hoping Angola gets back to being one of the top producers. Before their civil war, they used to be the largest producer or an exporter of coffees, only after Brazil, and the largest one in Africa. They're looking to bring that back. I'm excited. There's a lot. Even India has some good coffees. A few hours from Bangalore, I heard.
There's some awesome tea gardens.
The Sri Lankan coffee is hard for me to get. They get smuggled out or something. And I think it's a reflection of their coffee farmers. They don't want to engage internationally. They bring it outside their gate and some middleman sends it out. But if they want to bring their Sri Lankan coffees to the international market, they have to use DMCC Coffee Center, where it can be stored and roasted in time to be sent to key areas. That works better.
You're more passionate about coffee than diamonds.
I have coffee conversations every day with different players in the world.
But we would love to know and cover more topics, Mr. Sulaim. And it's about what are the initiatives for small to medium-sized businesses? What are the initiatives by DMCC to support them?
I'll get back to, I digressed when you asked me the question about the Gaming AI Center.
Yeah,
so after the coffee center was established, my focus is on tripling the facility size or having a second one inland here somewhere to serve the UAE market and export outside. So both are attractive to me. Maybe expanding it would be less impactful than having a second one that does the UAE market, Dubai, the JLT, and ships outside. There's nothing stopping me from shipping roasted coffee from the UAE out. But I wanted to do the meat center at some point. What took precedent was the DMCC Water Center, the DMCC Gaming Center, and Crypto Center started way before that, right before the pandemic before the global pandemic becoming an issue. So I signed the agreement in Davos with CV Labs to create the Crypto Center in end of January 2020, and we launched it officially in April 2021. Today we fully run it. CV Labs is having its own changes and will likely be back here in Dubai soon. I'm in touch with them. But the timing was great. By the time they made their changes, VAR existed, and which is really the reason we tied up with CV Labs, is just to make sure there's proper screening purpose. You have to understand, 5-10 years ago, there's not a lot of experts in crypto. And when they talk about educating people, they just say, whatever you learn will be outdated in 6 to 20 months. True. So you have to regularly stay educated, engaging with the industry. So the Crypto Center took a lot of our time, and I enjoyed seeing banks worry about it because it will bring the best out of the banks. Now there's an alternative. I love it for Western Africa, who struggle with their own central banks. They don't really have control of their currency. You have Ecuador that prints US dollars, so when they export, they're at a disadvantage with the cheaper currency of Colombia. At least this levels the playing field. I love what El Salvador is doing with this, and I hope they do succeed with it. So it's more of a human right on the Bitcoin and crypto. But it's more than that. You have cryptographics, crypto music. You have EVI that does rating for crypto and blockchain companies. The reason for establishment was how the ball was dropped by Moody's and S&P in 2008. They had AAA companies, next day belly up. So either they weren't competent to see it happen, or they are giving misinformation. But when you have it based on machine learning, no human involvement, that means there's no corruption in it, or very minimal. So the Crypto Center took a bit of my time. There's a story which I'll touch on with you later about why the Gaming Center, it came through. We had about 20 companies. Today, I believe it's about 240 companies in the gaming. We're growing with the Water Center, but I'm not playing the numbers game. I just want to bring strategic companies. I'm not blocking anyone from coming, but it's more about education, monetizing water, bringing efficiency. And the AI Center, I have to say, came as a recommendation from Villa Corpella, who's a consultant now with us at the AI Center. And I highly recommend you do a proper interview with him on this subject. We were at a gaming event at Not Only Fish, and it was one of those days where I haven't slept for 3 days, and that day was even crazier. So we had our network and talks, and I was sitting with him and my colleague Bilal, and he whispers in my ear. He could see me, I'm catching my breath, I'm tired. Why don't you launch an AI center? I almost fell off my chair. I'm like, Villa, what time? But I have this issue where I look at both sides of it. The idea of DMCC probably being the best free zone for an AI center was very loud in my head. Pretty much the message was, if anyone will do justice for this AI industry, it's us. We're not looking at just the Western AI or the 2-3 brands that you see in all the news. We're looking at China, South Asia. I would be looking at India, Africa, all of the innovative ideas. But Villa, my question to him, who do you know in the AI community? He's Finnish. And he goes, my network is in Scandinavia. I knew then and there's not a lot of targeting on the Scandinavian AI companies. And they started in 2017, before ChatGPT was even common talk with people, before people knew what it is. And they called it pragmatic AI. I believe it started in Sweden. maybe Finland, but I think Sweden and the rest followed. So Denmark, Finland, Norway, and Iceland. I love the Scandinavian market. It's where Spotify came from. It's not a place you can overlook. So I also said yes for another reason. I really want to grow our shipping and oil and gas industry, including the renewable energy, hydrogen energy, and the electric industry as well, with solar projects as well. We have Enerware, one of our own companies here in DMCC, not one of our own members, who took the car park project here, the shades.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be the largest solar panel shaded car park for a construction site in the world. We weren't even trying, it just happened to be. We really didn't pull any stops to make this tower happen. We even had our cement factory across from the tower, so we can cut the logistics to zero. So yeah, so we're in the AI business now with over 40 companies. I hear from my team we're closing in on 50 if we haven't exceeded that. Some of our AI companies like Builder.ai have been with us for 4 or 5 years. It originally was Engineer.ai. Builder.ai is basically it's just focused on creating apps for you. So you share an app, let's say Uber, but you want to customize it for certain needs.
Yeah.
It will create that AI without you needing the whole management. It will create that app store for you. So it saves you all the headaches. People are using it to write reports, summaries. I had a call with Bilal and a few other businesses, and there was another person who I didn't know. And I asked Bilal, who's this? He goes, oh, that's AI just taking notes for me while we talk, so I don't need to. This is happening. We're living in it. It's for those who fear that it will take jobs away, I don't buy that. I think you will only lose your job to people who know how to use AI.
It's as simple as that, because we have to prompt it.
It's as simple as someone today who has no social media platform and wants to work without using any internet. Good luck. And if they work, you know what? My hat's taken off to them. I'm all for that, if you can pull it off.
Mrs. Sulaim, please walk us through this thing that, I completely got that you travel extensively. Unstoppable is your middle name. What future holds for DMCC? Like you're already stepped in, I would say, in AI and gaming. Diamond is doing amazing. Raf is doing awesome. Mr. Martin Rappaport already said that Dubai is a new hub. How much do you agree to that?
Look, year on year, we perform, right? And it doesn't matter if we're the best. If I see a few missed opportunities, I just make sure it doesn't repeat. And if it does repeat, we need to make changes. So it's just to ensure that we're giving it the right effort, the right attention. I moved into this building so I don't deal with traffic. I just want to give it more time and remove the stress of going through back and forth to work. I'm not sure if we will finally bring in the meat center. There are a few other initiatives that I'm interested in. I'm split between bringing in 2 more projects or completing the initiatives I have. And a part of me feels I need to make sure that's going the right direction. And not only we make it on time, we should save time and rush. Because to me, the 2 most important commodity, and I think it's the same with our leadership. It's not property, it's not money, it's time and timing. You get those right, you can't get anything else wrong. His Highness' main challenge in the 80s and 90s wasn't the lack of finance. It was more of lack of finding people that would believe in his initiatives. He never wanted to do what's expected. He just wanted to do what's above expected. And after a while, you realize you've broken records. You've shocked the world with a lot of projects. So it happens if your mindset is to do more, not just to do enough. Sometimes doing just enough is going backwards.
Very soon we are going to witness another edition of DDC. And what are new things we're gonna see?
Well, if you've been to our precious metals conferences the past few years and the Dubai Diamond Conference, which is every other year, we don't avoid talking about challenges. We don't want to make it all about geopolitics, but there are other challenges. There's a perceived risk that the diamond industry is losing to lab-grown diamonds. That will be part of the discussion. I don't buy that. There's no lab-grown coffee that's killing the market for the natural coffee business. I know they're pushing for lab-grown meat. I don't see people going for that. Unless you're in space, fine. You know, you're excused for that. But those who are buying lab-grown diamonds, we're never going to buy natural diamonds. It's the same as someone buying a leather jacket made out of cactus. or pineapple skin. Okay,
Everything has a market.
that person was never going for a normal one for other reasons that you may agree or disagree with. Same with natural diamonds. If this market was not going for natural diamonds, why are you upset? Now, okay, the US is growing as for the bridal market and all that, I heard. But the reality is there needs to be more marketing from the members. And historically, De Beers took that onus on itself, especially when it's represented more than 70-80% of the market. But today, it's one of many mining companies, one of many brands, and they should put aside the budget to keep on promoting. Because you talked about the negative media in Dubai.
Yeah.
It's the same with natural diamonds. They make big stories on natural diamonds. They don't make enough stories on conflict oil because it's a lost challenge. They can't, it's a lose case. Oil, energy is a necessity. They know they will lose that. So they go after what has sentimental value. Some of these NGOs, they genuinely want the betterment of it, but they also go too far at points because they can, and it's and they time it right before Christmas, right before the holidays. We need better PR. So the World Federation of Diamond Bourses created the World Diamond Council, and now it's independent and it's doing a great job. You know, we went through our own challenges, but 2016, the UAE was the first Arab country to chair the Kimberley Proces. We're the first Arab country to chair it twice now. And I've been blessed to be given that responsibility by the industry and my federal government in 2016 and 2024. But there's a lot more work to do. There's more education that needs to be done. The real challenge for the natural diamond industry is not lab-grown diamonds. It's all of these high-end bags. Those are taking a big chunk of it. And it's hard to convince a woman not to go for LVMH. You know, sometimes a normal diamond will be secondary. Okay. You got to work around that. Lab-grown diamonds will contribute for designs that you cannot do with natural diamonds because you'd lose a lot of carats. Then there's the semiconductors. Diamonds are the best material for semiconductors. So the best future for lab-grown is really the technology industry, manufacturing that for that. But for the diamond cutters in Africa and India, they should open up for lab-grown diamonds because the demand for jewelry will never stop. I mean, we always make this joke. People will always, meet someone, get married, or want to apologize, bring a gift, whatever the case is. Why not get them all? Let them cut lab-grown diamonds as well. They're going to be paid the same, but you keep more people employed. That's why India took the smart choice. There is top lab-grown companies there. We've become a hub of lab-grown. Last I checked, there was a CNN piece talking about Dubai as the leading hub. Yes, in part, I opened the doors for them, personally. And to me, as long as they disclose, what is the problem? Historically, they were worried that they will flood the market and people won't know the difference. The technology is there. And the biggest hint that you are looking at a lab-grown diamond, if it's perfect, if it doesn't have an inclusion, you should double check. And the GIA in this building are certifying some of the big diamonds, some of the top diamonds, natural diamonds, but they also certify lab-grown diamonds. It's fine. What are we talking about here? Transparency. I'm looking at a number of initiatives going that approach rather than focusing on bringing in a lot of the businesses. So we'll talk about that. We will talk about, and it's also an opportunity for origin diamonds. So there will be a few people discussing technology about identifying the origin of a diamond to give more marketing appeal. You know, De Beers Namibian diamond, De Beers Botswanan diamonds, or Zimbabwean diamonds. People want to hear that. And, you ask me, what coffee do I like? I'm curious. If I get green coffee from Central African Republic, I've never tried it before. That is my only reason. I was once shocked that we received green coffees from Saudi Arabia. I don't think it's my place to say where it's going to, but it was going to the international market. Wow. So I made sure one of them was roasted because I had assumptions on what these specialty coffees. This is not your Arabic coffee. By the way, the Arabic coffee in UAE and Saudi came mostly from a region called Harar or something in Ethiopia. And I believe today the same coffee is coming really from Brazil. I'm not sure about that, but a lot of the Turkish coffee is definitely from Brazil today. Anyways, I tried it. Well, guess what? I've never tasted coffee like that. It was really good, amazing aftertaste, and I can identify it if I try it again. Wow. that is a beautiful experience I've had, and it shows me that there is a future for top Saudi coffee in the same way that you have Yemeni coffee that's competing in the globe. So it's the same with diamonds. If we can have these diamonds, not just for seas, origin diamonds, it would be great, but also it's used for countries to have control of imports and exports. You know, if there's a sanctioned country you don't want to deal with, but BRICS can, that's your prerogative. It's just to bring more control of matters.
And would be the tone of KP share would be the same? It would be more again about ethical sourcing, or they have a new agenda?
You have to understand why the KP was established in the first place. The meeting was in Kimberley, where the mine is. And they discussed it with the diamond industry, the governments, mining companies, I guess NGOs were there. And they decided to establish the Kimberley Proces, which is mainly to block the legitimate diamond trade from the legitimate trade. And with time, we're adding more security, more features, and that's what the negotiation is. I feel if KP concept was applied to gold, you'll have less controversies around the world. If a KP type of concept was kind of applied maybe to the vaccine situation that happened, you'll have less fines and controversies on, I can't pronounce it, Zanica, I forget the name of it. One of them, and Pfizer had their own issues as well. I feel like when you have more countries involved, you know, there's more eyes, there are more checks.
Eyes, yes.
So 59 nodes, 59 checks. It's extremely hard to corrupt. There are consequences, which has been implemented on Cote d'Ivoire, Lebanon, Zimbabwe once was suspended, and it's not a bad reflection on the country. It's just not applying the best practices, or not the best practice, the KP minimum requirements. So that raised the standard. This is something the color stones will likely also apply in time. With the advancement of technology, I expect more to come, but it needs full consensus. And I can't predict everything. I'm there as a host, supporting all the members and making sure all of them have a voice. Even if I disagree with what they say, I'm against stopping anyone from talking. So we have everyone engage, and what we can settle here, great, and what can't, moves on to the next year. It's been almost 23 years with the Kimberley Proces. No commodity in the world gets monitored and checked like diamonds, not plutonium, not anything. It's only second to nuclear, I guess, but that's it. So it's set a standard, but it's a responsibility. We had the intersessional in Uptown. The plenary will be in Jebel Ali Convention Center. So will be the Dubai Diamond Conference and the Dubai Precious Metals. I think you will see one theme that goes across the board here, from KP to Dubai Diamond Conference and Precious Metals Conference. Yes, there are challenges, but we should look at the opportunities within those challenges. And let's not forget, Africa would be in a much dire situation if the Kimberley Proces didn't exist. Today, what's hurting Sierra Leone more than anything else, ironically, is the movie Blood Diamonds. They don't like it. It's giving a negative perception, and we did try to advise the producers. I was there. I was there in the meeting when we agreed on the messaging, and you would see at the end of the movie, it says there's the Kimberley Proces, etc., that's doing that, and it's UN-backed after this. But you know what? For gold, Diamond Conference and the Kimberley Proces, I think there's one player in the conflict industry. I mean, if there is a conflict industry, there are conflicts that needs to come to the table and do at least half or 20% of what the diamond, the jewelry industry and KP is doing. I'd like to see the arms industry taking a bit of ownership. I've seen the pictures of the rebels in Africa. These weapons weren't manufactured in Africa. They came from the top 5, top 10 companies. Now, maybe it changed hands 5, 10 times, but just like a bartender serving alcohol, there's a limit how much you're going to give. Then it's something else. It's the same with weapons. You can't oversell. There needs to be responsibility on the weapons, right? So I look forward to talking to NGOs who are directly in touch and pushing for this. I know it's a sensitive matter, but it's time for people to bring them to the table and see how else we can minimize. And then if there are other actors in it, so be it, but at least bring them. Because let me tell you something, if they're not shipping illegal arms to these rebels, what do they have? 6 ton stones. I think that's more manageable by the UN. So there is one NGO in Stockholm, and there are a few others that do this. They don't get a lot of mainstream media coverage for obvious reasons.
This was like more than I would have apprehended. Thank you for walking us all these topics. One last message you would like to give to audience of the Jewellery Pod?
Despite whatever negativity and market challenges, just remember the bad days don't last, just like the good days didn't last. There will be an upward curve. Be ready with your timing, and this is where most of the action is happening. Dubai is a hub for India. A lot of my Indian friends see Dubai as part of India. You can fly to Mumbai faster than flying to Delhi to Mumbai. Yeah. I heard. It's also the hub for Africa. It is the most international business hub you'll ever get. And talking about the FDI magazine, the most recent winner is Javza, winning the best free zone of the year by Financial Times FDI magazine for 2024. But you know what? 2013 it was Davza, and then it was 9 straight years DMCC, and now it's Javza. That means Dubai won the Financial Times FDI magazine for 11 straight years. That did not come out of emptiness.
Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Sulaim. It was amazing having a word with you. Thank you for sticking for this podcast with us. It was an amazing session. See you until next time. Please leave your comments and feedback in the comments below, and do interact with the other social channels mentioned below. Thank you again.